Good morning. Thank you for joining me for this, what I hope is a positive, safe, and uplifting conversation about weight management, about our mindset around weight management, and also some really practical, straightforward things that we can begin doing today that support our healthy weight journey. I know that this is a sensitive topic for people, and I know that not only as a holistic nutritionist and nutrition coach, but also as a 32-year-old woman who also addresses her own mindset and habit issues surrounding weight management. Just because I'm now a nutrition coach does not mean that these things disappear for me as a woman any more than they do for anyone else. So I think this is an important conversation, and I thank you for being open in advance to having it with me. Good morning. Good to see some of you on here. Thank you so much for joining. Hope everybody had a good sunny weekend. Half of this is filter, but the other half is I think I got some sun yesterday. I felt like by the end of the day outside, felt like I'd been at the beach kind of cooking. In reality, it's like 60 degrees in Buffalo. That's just what it feels like, right? So I encourage you at any point here to jump in with your own questions or feedback. I'm going to be asking you some questions and hopefully sharing in some of your perspectives a little bit. So I wanted to talk weight management because I do coach women on a regular basis, and now as we're getting towards spring, getting closer to summer, that summer vibe, and people are pulling out their warm weather clothes, they're noticing that maybe we've been in quarantine for a year and that things don't fit the same way that they did before. Throw a 1 in the comments if you have also noticed that your spring and summer clothes don't fit the same as they did the year before or even the year before that. I know I am one of those people. And so people are coming to me saying, like, I want to lose weight for summer, right? That's reasonable. But we have a series of conversations leading up to if we're going to make any choices regarding weight management, and I wanted to have a few of those conversations with you this morning. The first thing I think it's important to talk about is the idea that just because we want to lose weight doesn't mean that we don't love and appreciate and accept our bodies the way that they are. I do believe that it's possible to do both. It's possible to love yourself, to accept that this is the gift of my body, and also I'd like to make some improvements in my mind. I'd like to make some changes. I don't think that those things have to be exclusive, and sometimes people want to address weight, but they come at it kind of like, you know, with their tail between their legs and say like, yeah, I know we're building healthy habits, but I really want to lose weight. Okay? Those two things they're not exclusive. You can build healthy habits and healthy lifestyle habits and healthy diet habits that also support healthy weight management. Those things can go together. At the same time, weight is something in and of itself that we need to talk about, what that is. Because weight, if we're going to get sciencey for a second, is a measurement of the force of gravity pulling a mass to the earth. That's what weight is. And we give weight an awful lot of power in our minds, in our hearts, and in our conversations, and in our habits, and in our diets. We give weight a lot of power that I don't think that it really deserves. It is impossible, looking at a number on a scale, to identify the health of a person, because that's one measurement, that's one tool. So we could say that weight is the measurement of a force of a mass being pulled to, wow, really botched that one. Physics was not my strong point, but we could measure weight as a measurement of the force of gravity on a mass, pulling the mass to Earth. That's one measurement. But there are a lot of other tools. You know some of these. What are other tools that we use to measure our bodies, or to measure our health, or to give us a reading on kind of how we're doing? If the scale is one of them, what are some of the other ones? Go ahead and throw them in the comments if you want to. But it's important that we don't give our scales too much power, because that scale doesn't know if I ate a big meal or not the day before. That scale does not know if I'm getting my period or not. The scale does not know if I have been working out for the last month and my body composition is different. My muscles are different. doesn't know that. It doesn't know if I'm wearing jeans or sneakers, if I've got more hair than the person next to me, if my bone density is different than the person next to me. So the scale can tell us changes in our own self, but the scale can't tell us like an ideal weight, and we'll get to that in a few minutes here. So nobody put the comments in. I'm going to fill you in for myself. So other tools that we have to measure ourselves. A scale is one. Knowing our body fat composition is another one. Knowing our blood work, knowing our blood pressure. Those are other tools that evaluate one part of our health. A measuring tape and taking, people like to take measurements of their transformations. That's just another tool that people use to track the changes in their body. But I think our blood work, our blood pressure, those are really important tools. We've got our own anecdotal type tools, like the way that our clothes fit, like the way that last summer's clothes fit compared to this summer. The way that I bought jeans this fall a size bigger than the year before, because the other ones didn't fit. That wasn't the way that my body was at that time. And it's possible for me to want to think about why those changes happened in my body. It's possible to think about changes and also to buy new jeans because I love myself and I want to look good and feel good in my jeans, right? You can do both things at the same time. The way that our digestion responds, the way that our mood or our energy are, the way that we sleep. All of these things are measurements of our health, and weight is one of those things within that list of measurements. You see where I'm going there? Throw me some hearts if you're on board with this idea. So we're going to give weight its proper place in the universe. And then we're going to take another step back and say, okay, if we think that we would like to address weight loss or weight management, what really is it that we're trying to accomplish? So if I feel like I am going into summertime, I'll just keep using myself as an example right now. So if I feel myself heading into summertime and I think I would like to lose a few pounds to get there, I need to identify what I mean by that, by a few pounds. Because does it actually matter what the number on the scale is by 5? Or is what I'm looking for my body moving the same way that it did then? Is what I'm looking for clothing on my stomach feeling the same as it did then? Am I looking for a different energy level that I had a couple years ago as opposed to being a little bit more tired? Okay, so we can identify maybe more specifically what it is that we're actually looking for. And then the second part of that is what healthy habits are going to support whatever direction I'm trying to head in. And the idea of ideal weight, like I might say I'd like to lose 10 pounds, that would put me at my ideal weight. The ideal weight is a number that I made up in my head that I think looks better than the one I have now. And sometimes you need to think realistically about that, right? That there's no ideal weight for a 32-year-old 5'4" woman. There's not. The ideal weight for my body is whatever weight my body decides to be when I am fueling it properly and moving it regularly. So your ideal weight is whatever weight your body lands on when you are fueling it properly and when you are moving it regularly. Because there are so many other factors that can affect the weight, like we said in the beginning, from one person to the next, that we can't just pick an arbitrary number and assign ourselves that number. Okay? That's not listening to our body or thinking about our healthy habits and routines. That's giving some external factor the power over what we do. And once we set that ideal weight number in our head, we might be willing to do things, to have habits, to have practices that are not healthy, that are just in search of or in reach of that number. So I encourage you instead to forget about whatever number it is and instead think, I know that my body feels differently because I have not been moving as regularly as I was. So that's something that I can address in a habit. I might say, I know that my stomach is feeling more bloaty than it used to. I don't feel like I'm having the same kind of firmness or energy in my core? Well, that's probably because I'm eating more packaged food sitting around the house, and I'm not meal prepping as healthy of meals to go to work every day. Well, then there's a habit change I can make, right? So we want to, this is always, right? You know me, guys, this is always mindset and habits. Mindset and habits. So the first step is putting the idea of wanting to manage our weight in its proper place. I am looking to maybe shift my body composition a little bit, or I'm looking to have the same pep I had before. That's all it is. And I'm going to do that by putting habits in place. And I know that those actual strategies are what a lot of people are watching me babble about mindset for, but I don't think that you can get to the strategies without going through the mindset stuff first. So if we're going to say, yeah, no matter who I am or what size I am, I have an idea that I would like to be my body's most comfortable weight. That might be a way we can talk about this. I would like to be my body's more comfortable weight. And in order to be whatever that is, I'm going to put some more healthy habits and lifestyle practices into my days, and then embrace patience, because this does not happen overnight. We did not grow into whatever adult and whatever size and shape we are like last night. It took some time. Even if you're feeling like you made shifts over the past year now, that our world has been in this situation, that's still a full year that we were gradually making those shifts and changes. And we need to gradually make them the other way if that's our desire. So truly, the better that you can dial in and tune in with your nutrition, the easier your weight management is going to be. Weight management is not about eating less. It is about eating better. And that's the difference between a diet and a lifestyle change, is I could simply choose to eat less food, but how long can I really do that for? So I could restrict how much I eat. I could simply eat way fewer calories, and I could do that for a few weeks, and I could lose a few pounds. That's fine. But what happens when I go back and I start to eat more again? Because you can't do that. You can't necessarily eat in restriction for a month and then go back to eating much more freely and having a little bit more food freedom and expect to not put weight back on. That's why so many diets fail. The majority of diet plans, quote unquote, fail. That doesn't mean people don't lose weight. It does mean that within 6 to 9 months, they gain it back. And it is hard to not focus on that, because okay, so I've got some comments coming in. I want to share them with you because I think that this is really important. It says it's hard to not focus on numbers when our entire lives revolve around numbers. They do, right? We check our weight, but we also check the time. We check the temperature. We check the bank account. We check the budget, right? We are always using numbers as a measurement tool. But the problem is that the number doesn't account for so many factors when it comes to weight. And if you do go to your doctor, this is another comment coming in, if you do go to your doctor, your BMI may show that you are overweight or close to overweight. And that doesn't feel realistic or reasonable to you, right? So this person's saying, I'm 5'11" and 145, not overweight. But the borderline on the BMI is going to show close to overweight. So what does that do in our head? Triggers the, oh my gosh, I need to lose weight. And once we put that trigger in our head, we're more likely to shift away from healthy lifestyle habits, and we're more apt to think, I just have to lose weight. I'll lose weight, and then I'll go back to my healthy lifestyle habits. Right? That's what it makes us feel like we need to do. My BMI also says that I am borderline overweight. Okay, so what do I think about BMI? I think that it is a tool that gives a piece of information. I do not think that we should be giving it any near the sort of weight, no pun intended. We should not be giving it, because there's another definition for weight too, right? It just means heaviness. It just means value of some kind. So I don't think that we should be giving BMI the weight that we often give it. It's a much better tool or identifier in extreme scenarios. So if someone had the the far end of either. I want to be cautious of the language that I use, but the far end of either spectrum on the BMI, where health is of the utmost concern, that's where it's most realistic. But at that point, we already know. If we're on either far end of that, we already know that there are other health concerns or habit concerns that need to be addressed. For the most of us are falling in this vast middle section where the lines are a little gray. They're a little arbitrary, and they're not useful to us because the BMI doesn't tell you anything other than a number or a category. It doesn't say, actually, you could increase exercise and movement in your life. It doesn't say, well, how many processed foods are you eating throughout your day? It doesn't say, how well are you sleeping? You know, what are your vitamin deficiencies? It does not address health. It addresses a ratio. Okay. And yes, someone else says in here, not to mention that sides are not consistent. So you could, whatever size your body is, you can go to the store and you can find 3 or 5 pairs of jeans that are all different number sizes that all fit you. Or you could pull all of the 8s off the rack and they all fit your body differently. Sizing is not consistent. Sizing has also changed over the years. So sometimes, like if you go thrifting, you're a completely different size than if you go to the mall right now. So that's why I steer clear of talking about ideal weight or ideal size or ideal number, because how would we possibly choose? How do we really know? Like, how do I actually know what the right number on a scale would be for my body right now? There's no way for me to know that. So for me to arbitrarily pick one and make it my target doesn't make sense to me, right? Because then I don't understand what I'm working for. Instead, what makes sense is for me to dial in on the habits that I know are healthy for my body systems and let my body's own physiology work out what size it's supposed to be. So people steer clear of talking about weight because there's a lot of sensitivity around that topic of size, but therefore we just don't talk about it. And so now I see this shift here on the internet. I don't know if you guys have seen it at all, where we were so immersed in diet culture, and so many are still. You know, you see like people want you to buy the shakes and do the cleanses and do this and that program, right? So there's still a very present diet culture. But then the other polarization is the shifting so far away from diet culture, so far into loving and accepting ourselves and our body that we forget to talk about healthy habits. So I see the other side going like, everybody is beautiful. Everybody is beautiful. Every person is beautiful. That's not the same thing when it comes to caring for our health and our healthy habits and our nourishing diet and our active lifestyle. So a person can be beautiful and still need to improve the quality of their health and their habits. We need to find a nuance here, a middle ground here, because I think that there's a little bit of danger in the polarizations, right? So let's stay in this kind of gray area together and think through, what are the habits that we can be embracing daily that support us at a healthy weight for our bodies because they're supporting our other body systems and because they are giving us energy. So things like increasing your fruits and vegetables. It sounds so silly. We all know that we should be eating more fruits and vegetables. But in reality, fruits and vegetables are high in water, high in fiber, high in protective plant nutrients, high in vitamins and minerals, and very low in calories. So you can eat what we say would eat in volume. You can eat large volumes of fruits and vegetables of all kinds throughout the day, and you're eating a very low number of calories, but you're eating enough, you're eating a lot that is going to literally fill you up, keep you full, keep you nourished, but still be low in calories. A calorie, we can get into calories at some point. Calorie is a unit of measurement for energy. That's what a calorie is. So our bodies need energy. We need calories because we need energy to go throughout our days. But weight management comes in balancing the foods that are high in energy, high in calories, with the foods that are lighter in calories and more voluminous, all those fruits and vegetables that we can eat a lot of to stay full. So a lot of times people will say, well, I lost weight on a low carb diet. You lost weight on a low carb diet not because you weren't eating carbs, but because pasta is 200 calories and zucchini noodles are 20. So you didn't lose weight because you didn't eat carbs. You lost weight because you didn't eat 180 calories, okay? Consistently throughout that time. So if we in our mindset can shift into fruits and vegetables are the healthiest things we could eat, let's eat more of them. Let's find more places throughout our day. Let's add another one to lunch and another one to dinner and another one as a snack. Well, suddenly what we're doing is crowding out things from our diet. We're not restricting them or eliminating them, but we're making less room for them. We're crowding out things that are more energy or calorie dense. And our body might not need that much energy or energy substances. So increasing our fruits and vegetables in the same way that we're decreasing processed foods. So we're crowding out things that come from a package. We are replacing our refined grains with our whole grains. We are replacing animal products with more lean plant sources of protein and healthy fats. So in all of these adjustments, we are still giving our body appropriate energy, and we're giving it like a plethora, a variety of nutrients, but we are keeping our the additional calories intake that comes from processed food, from especially sugars and oils, we're keeping those low. So that's really the biggest starting point, is staying away from processed foods, adding in those fiber and water-rich foods, and crowding out the processed ones by eating the other ones in greater volume. So when I work with coaching clients, we might take a look at what somebody's food logs are like, what their typical meals are like, and see how we can shift the energy balance a little bit. So they might be eating all the quote unquote right food groups. They might be eating things that do nourish their bodies, full of whole grains and beans and nuts and seeds and starchy vegetables. Those things are all really good for you. But if the bulk of what we're eating is coming from these energy dense or calorie dense foods, and we're not eating as many fruits and vegetables, we can make some swaps and changes to shift the energy balance, to tweak meals, not do an overhaul, not have extensive meal plans to follow, but do some tweaks and shifts in the adjustment of energy. And that's what helps people to stay at or to get to a weight that is more comfortable for their body. It's by eating more fruits and vegetables. I hope that this conversation is helpful to you. I know that it is. It's hard. When I put out that I was going to address weight management, I wanted to check in, like, is this a topic that makes people nervous? And I know that sometimes it does. And a lot of times that's because we're maybe feeling sensitive about our own weight gain, or because we've had really crappy diet experiences in the past, or diet plan or program experiences in the past. It doesn't have to be that way. I think we need to figure out how to reopen this middle ground conversation of, I love myself enough to make healthy habit changes that are going to support a more comfortable weight for me. I hope that helps. Please let me know. I'm going to save this to IGTV. It's going to take me a little bit longer because I'm going to put the two videos together. So when that happens, I would love for you to come back on and give me your comments if you think that this is helpful, to share it with a friend or share it to your stories. I always appreciate that. I do have a PDF resource called 5 Healthy Ways to Manage Your Weight Without Dieting, and it goes a little bit more into detail on these things like eating in volume, eating whole plant foods, processed foods, that stuff. So once this is ready, I will link the PDF in the comment or the caption of the video so that you can go back and do a little bit more reading if that's something of interest to you. I will tell you right now that if you are local in Alden, I am booking small group coaching for this spring, where we go through this process more specifically to your lifestyle and the lifestyle of the other small members of our small group. And so we're able to have a little bit more problem solving and strategy building while we learn about whole foods. It's called Becoming a Whole Foodie. It's 8 weeks in Alden. Registration for that is open. You can go to my profile and click book now and then just go down to group coaching. If you were in part 1 of group coaching last time, I'm going to be doing a part 2 this spring as well. So contact me for those details. If you have been hanging around for a while, if you are already feel like you are a whole foodie, and maybe you've done one-on-one coaching, or you've worked with another coach, or you yourself are a coach and you've got a pretty solid nutrition background yourself, but you would still like that group support or group accountability, and you're local, you could also reach out to me, and maybe that part 2 would be a good fit for you too. And then those of you in internet land here, I'm going to be putting together, or I am putting together, some webinars for this spring on a variety of specific nuanced nutrition topics. Things like talking with your friends and family members about the choices that you're making regarding your health and the way that you're eating. Things like getting past our carbs are bad mindset. Things like handling cravings and strategies for dealing with sugar or salty food cravings when they come up, and how to change our taste buds around those a little bit. Topics like this. So those will be coming out for you in the next couple of weeks, and they'll just be, again, online 1-hour webinars. So hopeful that we can open up these conversations a little more, get a little more cozy with having them, because then when our mindset is a little more comfortable, we're able to put in those healthy lifestyle habit changes. And I know that you are capable of creating a healthy lifestyle that you love. Hope everybody has a wonderful week, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye.